think Richard Phillips talks about this, where he, all of a sudden, one of the boats from the Bainbridge shows up and he looks up and he sees one of our guys. It's just like, here's a dude with this massive beard, like gigantic Neanderthal covered in tattoos. And he's like, "Hi, sir." We knew that Captain Phillips was taped to the pole in the middle.
So wait a minute, you did what? You brought him on the boat to give him medical care?
Most bad thing that happened during that. Like, he fireman's crawled just like Bud's down the
Slide for life.
He pulled the slide for life, slide down the cable.
Was it one simultaneous shot?
No.
3 snipers?
No, I mean simultaneous, but it was, I think, a handful of rounds.
Were you on board when Phillips came back?
Vice President Biden at the time gets up there and he goes, "Man, he's like, the guys from SEAL Team 6 did a great job. Who brought the fucking printer? Like, what is this?" I'm like, "Take out the cartridge, you can bring this." It was one of the admin guys. We just start ditching stuff. And it got to the point where, like, we're right at the edge. And so guys are like, "Well, I'll jump in my personal gear," which is like, we'll just rig it. And all these guys, I mean, this is the best. Our guys jump like nobody jumps. They jump, 30,000 free falls a year. Nobody jumps as much as that command does. And so we start rigging it, and turns out one of the young comm guys who had just gone to like comm school, and he did really well. So he gets assigned to Naval Special Warfare Development Group, not knowing what it is. He's on the watch bill and he's not jump qualified. And so we're like, "We'll just tandem him." And I'm like, this poor kid's like, "Hey, I didn't sign up for this program." And we're all kind of like, we're looking at him and we're all like looking at each other. We're like, "Well, we got to fuck with the dude." So of course the guy that's tandeming, he's like, I walk over and I'm like, "How you doing?" Like they start putting the harness on him and they're just like, "Don't worry, this works, 30-40% of the time." And this kid's just like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, we're doing this, man." And one of the other part that was funny about this was, we had like 90 people in 2 planes, right? We're flying everybody over there. And the shitter's backed up. And so like the first part of the drop was like, the first bags that go out of the plane are the shit that clogged up when we dropped the ramp. And we see the Boxer, and I was like, this is actually going to happen. And we start rigging for drop. And the first thing that went through my mind was like, "Dude, I forgot to take the trash out. Like, my wife is going to be I turned to my team leader and I was like, "Fuck." And he's like, "What? What did we forget?" Like, going through all the checklist, I'm like, "I forgot to take the trash out." My wife's going to be pissed. He's like, "Dude, you need to focus. Like, this is happening." And I'm like, "All right." And I'll be number 1 man out of the plane. I'm like, fuck it. Like, if this thing, in the back of my mind, I'm like, if you don't see 4 boats, then I'm just not going to pull my chute and burn this thing in, because I don't want to answer for this shit show. And so we did, the first pass was the boats. And so what you do is the boats go, and then the boat drivers go. And then, you free fall in, you 5-second hop and pop, and you start chasing your boat to the water. And when you get there, the boat's rigged up with a platform, and they carry to slide it out of the plane, and you cut that and you sink it. You sink all the chutes, and you get in. You start your boats, and then you motor in the direction of the wind, so the planes can come around and drop the assaulters in. We get down there, and it went perfect. It was like I'd done like 1 boat drop before that. I just got through training, like my second boat drop. I'm like, and everybody prior to that, it's like, "Nah, man, these things never work. 1 boat, we burn boats in. We've like, everything that can go wrong will go wrong." And we get in the water and all 4 boats are there. I'm like, they're not going to start. You just drop these like super high speed, extremely expensive boats out of a plane at like 8,000 feet. Like, they're not going to work. And they work. And motor in the line. And then the pass comes by and it's 80 dudes. And the light, it just fills up the sky with blue chutes. It was just like, holy shit, man. And the Boxer was the shouldering ship that we were jumping into. And all the Marines were out there lined up watching this, like, the arrival of us. And, guys are piling in the boats, and it was like, holy shit, this worked. The boats, like, everything happened. I called in to the jock and said, "Hey, I was a hotel at the time, my call sign, like, called in JSOC, like, all present accounted for, moving to the Boxer." And apparently the whole jock center lit up. We're just cheering. We're like, I think most of the team guys are like, fuck it, I can't believe that actually worked. You know what I mean? Like a lot of moving parts in that. We got there and now we get into, we were craning the boats on and we have another drop. We're bringing more boats. We're bringing Zodiacs. We're bringing lawyers. Like they start moving heaven and earth. Immediately they send the snipers over to the Bainbridge. And we had another contingent that had jumped in. Jonas actually had jumped in with a handful of guys from Africa to the Bainbridge. And our guys all linked up on the Bainbridge and started getting eyes on the dinghy. My portion of the story from where I was on the Boxer. And at that point, we start planning for how are we going to assault the dinghy.
What's the Boxer?
It's a flat top Navy ship. It's an amphibious ship.
Okay.
With helicopters. So it looks like an aircraft carrier, but it's a flat top. And so we start planning for an assault. Like so, a bunch of guys sitting around like, how do we assault a dinghy? Like, what are we going to do to, like, how is this going to facilitate this? And the snipers are over on the Bainbridge and a handful of operators are over there. And I think that was the point. I think Richard Phillips talks about this, where he, all of a sudden, one of the boats from the Bainbridge shows up and he looks up and he sees one of our guys, which is a stark contrast to what he had been seeing from the regular fleet guys. It's just like, here's a dude with this massive beard, like gigantic Neanderthal covered in tattoos. And he's like, hi, sir. And he was like, oh, like the cavalry's here. And, those guys, I think what was amazing was like, we were trying to figure out like, okay, what do we do? And at one point the plan had come down to us from up high that we were going to ram the dinghy. So we were going to take two boats. I was going to drive one and we were going to put snipers in the other. And I was going to drive at the boat, the dinghy he was in, hit it and roll it because they right themselves. So I would crash my boat into it, roll it. And the idea with doing that was we would disarm the pirates and knock them all over the place. We knew that Captain Phillips was taped to the pole in the middle. Like, he'll be okay. It's going to be a shit show in there. And then the second boat was going to quickly roll up on it with snipers and board and take out the pirates. So that was like that's what we're doing. But meanwhile, the guys that were on scene, they had hooked up the boat and they started reeling it in. And you got to remember, like, we don't know what's going on outside. We don't know what the news is saying. We're just like, dude, it's fucking Easter and I want to get home, right? Like, these guys are all like, multiple combat rotations. Like, this is not a big problem for us, right? Like, this is like, what the fuck are we here for? Was really the overarching, like, this is kind of crazy. Because we thought when we dropped in, like, okay, it's going to go to shore and then he's going to be held on shore. And then now this is our bread and butter.
Man, that's crazy that you guys had that attitude. I mean, it wound up being such an iconic event,
I think at the time nobody thought it was iconic because, they started reeling the guys in, and one of the pirates, he had been stabbed on the Maersk by the crew, and his wounds started to fester, and he was like the leader. And they were like, do you want medical care? And when he bowed out, he's like, yeah, I want medical care. And they brought him on board. Then it was his three like underlings that didn't have any idea. Like, they were just kind of like, what do we do now? Like, our leader is gone. And
so wait a minute, you did what? You brought him on the boat to give him medical care?
Right. So what they initially said was, hey, you guys don't want to go to a shore here. You're in the enemy tribe.
How are you communicating with them?
They would just go over and talk with them face to face. They take the boat from the Bainbridge over and say, hey, listen, you don't want to go ashore here. You're out of gas. We'll tow you south, and then you can go ashore there. But we're going to help you out. We're your friends. And they were like, okay. So that's how they got the hookup. And then that guy the lead pirate was wounded, and he was I guess he started to plummet. We're day 3 or something. So he'd been out there for a while and he had a knife wound. And so he was starting to like, hey, this is not good, getting infected. Like, his nerve, he's plummeting. And so they were going out, taking medical care, talking, hey, how can we help you? You know, trying to liaise and make this like a peaceful, just quit. Just quit and give us our guy back and then you can go free kind of scenario. So it really wasn't, I mean, we were stoked that we did the drop. And everybody was just like, fuck yeah, that was cool. Like, okay, now what do we do? And so snipers started reeling them in and they got him within like 25 yards. And when the lead pirate got off, now you have his three underlings, and one guy had his head out of the opening, the front of the hatch. One guy kept sticking his head out of the side to see what was going on. The third guy was in the pilot house. And, you know, the snipers at the time were like, let's just end this. And the SEAL that was there was like, yeah, man, do it. They took the shot and it, you know, took out the pirates, and then one of the SEALs jumped on the cable and like fireman's crawl down the cable, which I thought was the most badass thing that happened during that. Was like, holy shit. Like he fireman's crawled just like Bud's down the
Slide for life.
He pulled the slide down the cable, this big ass, you know, Navy tow cable covered in grease, and got on board and, you know, secured Captain Phillips.
Wait a minute. How many shots was it?
Well, a lot more than 3. I mean, when we got the boat back, there was, I want to say each guy got maybe 3. I mean, it wasn't one.
It wasn't one simultaneous shot?
No.
3 snipers?
No, I mean, simultaneous, but it was, I think, a handful of rounds. I mean, you're on nods. It
was at night.
Yeah. So
okay.
you got your apteals, your lasers are on nods, snipers dialed in. They made it out to be this like, you know, Obama was like, oh my God, like I was on the radio and that was 3, 2, 1. And they made these miraculous shots. They were great shots. I mean, awesome shots. But I think at the time the guys were just like, fucking, let's get this over with. That was my take on it. You know, I mean, it was Easter. It was like, it's fucking Easter and I'm here and I want to be at home. And so, you know, it was done and we're like, let's get the fuck out of Dodge. And then they started spinning like, hey, we got all these other ships out here. Let's start planning and picking them off. And we were like, oh God. And that all got canked. And we ended up flying off the Boxer. And then, you know, the route home, we flew.
Were you on board when Phillips came back?
Yeah.
How was he?
Dude, he looked like, I was there when we brought him off the helicopter and brought him in, and he was deer in the headlights, man. He was just like, and when I saw him after that, he came out to, you know, kind of thank us and walk around and check out all the equipment. And we had brought the dinghy up onto the deck of the Boxer, and he was just he was very thankful. He was like, I think he snapped out of it and was just like, holy shit, you guys did this for me. I think he said it. And he took pictures with everybody and he was just very gracious. He was a really nice guy. But when he first got on board, I was like, that dude is, you know, Stockholm syndrome. He was a hurting man. It was a pretty amazing feeling. Like when it all wrapped up, we were just like, wow. Like everyone, I'm like, I can't believe we just pulled that off. Like we are pretty cool. And we're stuck on the Boxer. And so this is where it all went downhill, in my opinion. We're stuck on the Boxer and we're watching CNN on the big screen, and Vice President Biden at the time gets up there and he goes, man, he's like, the guys from SEAL Team 6 did a great job. And we were all like, did he just say that? I know, really, it was like this moment in the room where we were like, dude, what the fuck?
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And If you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.